In the skies above World War I, among the aces and legends, flew a man history almost forgot. A pioneer who defied every boundary to become the first African combat pilot. This is his untold story. The first black African warplane pilot. His name is Weldeslassie. The only other man in the group with a dark complexion is pictured standing in the midst of a group of officers sporting more dazzling medals on his chest than anyone else. How he defied Mussolini's fascists to become the highest-ranking black soldier in his country's history, and how, in the end, he was honored for his extraordinary achievements. All of this is thanks to the recent efforts of a determined researcher, librarians, and cooperative relatives who finally pieced together many more details about his amazing life. Weldeslassie, who is thought to have been born on June 30th, 1886, could have come from 20,600 miles away to a foreign city in one of two tenable rival accounts. In the crazy scramble for Africa in the late 19th century, Italy joined other European nations by first colonizing Eritrea before extending its imperialist tentacles into other Horn of Africa territories. According to one account, professional army officer Attilio saw a 4-year-old kid named Weldeslassie, who was abandoned and in very poor health one day in 1890 while traveling between Debarwa and Asmara. Feeling sorry for the youngster, Attilio Mondelli chose to adopt him. The other version stated that the boy had not been found. In the event, the boy was reportedly saved on a Sunday, therefore he was given the name Domenico. Domenico means in Italian Sunday. He had the great good fortune to grow up with Attilio's 2 illegitimate daughters in a warm, upper-class environment when he was transported to Parma in northern Italy in 1891. He commenced his military career in October 1900 by enrolling at the Scuola Militare di Roma, located in Palazzo Salviati. Subsequently, he was accepted into the Reale Accademia Militare di Fanteria e Cavalleria, a military academy in Modena, from which he graduated in 1905 with the distinction of being a second lieutenant. Having been well prepared, he assumed leadership of a series of elite attack forces known as bersaglieri until the start of World War I. Whether it was the thrill of taking off quickly or something more, he never really talked about what drew him to aviation. However, when he applied to join the Italian Air Force, which was just getting started, he received the training that turned him into the first black military pilot in history. Although it was long believed that either American Eugene Bullard or Turkey's Ahmet Ali Kılıçdaroğlu deserved this honor, it has now been proven that Weldeslassie started formal flight training before both of them, and received his flight certification from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale on February 20th, 1914, nearly 2 years before they did. The night of the heir's career as a bomber squadron commander came to an abrupt end in 1917 when he was transferred to the Bersaglieri and had his wings clipped. Still, he demonstrated similar skill in commanding ground forces, demolishing machine gun nests, capturing prisoners, and motivating his fighters to accomplish incredible things. A military observer on the front lines of the conflict wrote late in the conflict, "The amazing Negro has breached the enemy lines on our right." One of our most cherished officers is this black Eritrean, who is slender, has curly hair, white teeth, and speaks flawless Italian. He adores the Bersaglieri and despises bureaucracy. Officer Weldeslassie of the Air Force. Weldeslassie was awarded 2 further bronze and 2 silver medals, but at a price. He was repeatedly struck in the face by grenade pieces, permanently harming his right eye, which got worse with age. Even while subordinates who risked their lives beside him in combat held him in high regard, Weldeslassie was nonetheless seen as a bit of a prick. He followed the guidelines to the letter and was quite meticulous. During the war, 3 more Afro-Italian officers who served in Europe received little recognition. Not only did Weldeslassie significantly outperform them in combat, but being a Freemason at the outset of the post-war era, He also benefited from helpful social contacts. In 1922, Weldeslassie was a lieutenant colonel and fully anticipated being promoted to full colonel. However, he was not prepared for the decline in his military career. Up until that point, he had not encountered any notable prejudice due to his color, social class, or affiliation with a covert organization. That year, everything changed when Benito Mussolini, a pompous caricature of a dictator, was installed as the head of state together with the rabid racists Roberto Farinacci and Giovanni Preziosi, turning liberal Italy overnight into fascist Italy. A year earlier, Il Duce told an audience in Bologna, "Fascism was born out of a profound, perennial need of this our Aryan race." Long before Mussolini's association with Adolf Hitler and collaboration with anti-Semites, he professed belief in eugenics and the cultural superiority of Italy that formed the basis of his movement's perverted nationalism, the supposed sure answer to the growing threat of blacks and yellows and communism. With the exception of the right's seeming flirtation with and tolerance of racism, Weldeslassie was a politically conservative individual who was also proud, patriotic, steeped in military heritage, and consistently respectful of authority. In fact, he joined the notoriously named Black Shirts, the voluntary militia for national security, at the beginning of the 1920s, a shelter for job seekers where he was forced to swear allegiance to Mussolini as well as King Victor Emmanuel III. But it's possible that he enlisted partly as a self-serving ploy to secure his military advancement and future goals. If so, that was a disastrous strategy. In addition to detesting racial diversity, the new government fought Freemasonry because it believed its adherents had a greater duty to their fellow Masons than to the fascist government. Due to a 1925 regulation that prohibited Masons from working for the government, Weldeslassie was forced to leave the order and enlist in the reserve, thereby ending his active military career. The fascist dictatorship did not want him or the 3 other black officers to wear a uniform, as one writer expressed it quite clearly. If the fascist hierarchy thought that Weldeslassie, one of the most decorated officers in the Italian army, would simply go into early retirement with a fat pension after his downfall, it soon had to set that dream aside because he successfully appealed the Ministry of War 3 times over a period of years after his downfall. Nevertheless, Mussolini's goons continued to deprive him of justice until 1935, when Weldeslassie realized that more resistance would be futile in the face of government-issued circulars declaring that black and mixed-race individuals could not command white Italian soldiers, and soon after, race laws modeled after those enacted in Nazi Germany. Still, of the 4 black World War I commanders, he had been the only one to oppose the fascist government in his country. Weldeslassie generally lived an uneventful interwar decade in Rome with his wife and 2 daughters, except for his 3 appeals. He avoided getting involved in politics. Though he didn't voice it, he must have had a view on Italy's foreign adventures, particularly the Italo-Ethiopian War, 1935 to 1936. Fortunately, Weldeslassie was able to safely return to a more regular life when American and British troops marched into Rome in June 1944. Therefore ending Italy's military involvement in World War II. Weldeslassie thrived as a Mason in the years following World War II and attained the highest rank in the order as a 33rd degree member by 1956. Numerous distinguished military awards ensued. He was promoted to Army Corps General, the equivalent of a 3-star lieutenant general, in 1968. His last distinction came in 1970 when then President of the Republic Giuseppe Saragat, a devout socialist who had escaped Nazi persecution, named him a Grand Officer of the Order of Merit of the Italian Republic. According to others, he received this final distinction mostly as payback for the years he lost during the interwar period as a victim of Italian fascism. While his wife and daughters settled in Naples, he made a few film appearances, including one in a documentary about Africans in Italy, and lived in Rome via Milazzo in the Appio Latino neighborhood. On December 13, 1974, Weldeslassie passed away at the age of 88 in Rome's Celio Military Hospital. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video.